Wade Wade Phyllis Webstadren Squest Stracham Chatstam Strakwin. I'm speaking to you today from Shawetmach, the land of the Shuswap people in Williams Lake, BC. I am third-generation Indian residential school survivor. My grandmother attended for 10 years from 1925 to 1935. All of Granny's 10 children, including my mother, attended for 10 years from 1954 to 1964. I attended residential school in 1973-74. We all attended the St. Joseph Mission Indian Residential School, simply called the Mission, located just minutes from Williams Lake. My son also attended the last operating residential school in Canada when it closed in Saskatchewan in 1996. To tell my story, I was living with my granny as a child, and when I turned 6 in July of 1973, Granny took me to town to buy me something new to wear for my first day of residential school. I chose a shiny new shirt. It was bright and exciting, just how I felt to be going to school for the first time. When I arrived at the Mission, my shiny new shirt was taken away. No matter how much I cried and wanted it back, no one would listen. I never wore my shirt again. Thoughts of home and Granny's garden, fishing for salmon on the Fraser River, are all memories that helped me through that year at residential school. Although the Mission remained open until 1981, I never returned. I was able to attend a one-room schoolhouse just minutes from Granny's house in Dog Creek. The memories of that orange shirt being taken away and the lack of caring by those who controlled us kept me from wearing orange for a long time in my life, as the sight of orange would trigger memories of my experiences and the effects of my life from attendance at that school. I told my orange shirt story for the first time in April 2013, when preparation for when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission came to Williams Lake. Those involved with the event decided to honor the orange shirt as a symbol of the effects of residential schools and the need for every child matters. Originally, Orange Shirt Day was focused on the Caribou-Chilcotin region, but thanks to social media, it continues to grow and have a life of its own, and has grown into what it is today. My orange shirt story is not unique. There were 150,000 children that attended the residential schools across Canada, and they, or their families, all have a story to tell of that experience. And now, with the recent news of the confirmation of the 215 children announced at the Kamloops de Shawetmach on May 27, 2021, another experience from those schools is brought forward. I, like many Canadians, have felt the emotional impact of those findings. But for the survivors, we have always known about the children who died in those schools. This is why I say confirmation instead of discovery. Even so, when I first heard, I felt like I had lost a family member, and that's how much grief I felt. There are many more residential school sites to be searched, and the number of missing children and unmarked burials will continue to rise. I'm still grappling for a way to make sense of it all and wondering how we are going to get through this. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families, to everyone across Canada experiencing this unimaginable emotional pain. The missing children have awakened all of us to the reality of the history of this country. This year marks the first year of a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and National Federal Statutory Holiday on September 30th. A day for thoughts and discussions on remembering, recovering, and reconciling. Orange Shirt Day is a day to have conversation about all aspects of residential school. It is a day to honor residential school survivors and their families, and to remember those that didn't make it. And a day to highlight progress in the reconciliation of Indigenous people and Canadian society. These actions are necessary to bring about healing for the future relationship in Canada. We chose September 30th because September is the time of year the children were taken away from their homes and their families. We chose the 30th because we wanted teachers and students time to settle in, time for teachers to teach students about the history, and time for us to plan an event. When I heard an elder say that September was Crying Month, I knew that we had selected the right date. The Orange Shirt Society has produced a number of videos available on our website for the purpose of teaching the past history and bringing understanding of the Canadian residential school system and its effects on Indigenous peoples. We encourage all to learn more of this subject. In closing, I want to thank everyone for participating in Orange Shirt Day and wearing an orange shirt. When you wear an orange shirt, it's like a little bit of justice for us survivors in our lifetime, and recognition of a system we can never allow again. I want to end with a prayer I wrote in my Secwepemc language. Kia est chba'a, de galt gukbi, gukstach guk pin de seat, gukstach guk de juchinoch, gukstach guk de Eastland, at de Southqua, at de Soup, at de Griselgston, gukstach guk chochweidab, Yuchaminta rochochweid de Gulmuch de Chwaset. Gukstjam, thank you for caring about what happened to us, and thank you for participating in Orange Shirt Day, the first national day for truth and reconciliation in Canada. Gukstjam.
Good evening. It's wonderful to see such a large crowd of us here today this evening to listen. My name is Father Pierre Ducharme. I'm the pastor here of St. Joseph the Worker Parish. And I would like to acknowledge, first of all, that we are on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam people. My confrere, Father Joe Glab, is the chaplain at Musqueam, and he contacted them this week to ask them how we should do this land acknowledgement, and they gave us permission also to welcome our speaker this evening, who comes from another nation, who comes from the Cree Nation in Alberta, and he's going to tell you about himself, of course. So on behalf of the Musqueam people, I'd like to welcome Don Tourangeau this evening, our elder. I would like to introduce Rhonda, who is a parishioner here at St. Joseph the Worker. First of all, though, to tell us a little bit about her good friend. And it's funny because a lot of people coming in tonight were saying, I'm Don's friend. I'm looking forward to becoming Don's friend tonight, too. So Rhonda, to introduce Don Tourangeau.
Wow. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's such an honor to have everyone here today and to have Don come. For the last 5 years, I've had Don come and speak to my school, to social workers, to ECE, to law and legal people about his story and to tell the truth. And when these Kamloops babies came up, Don sent me up there right away to give an offering there. So I'm really honored and appreciate everyone here. Also, it's very important, please don't take any pictures or any video recordings, and respect Don for his story that he's going to share. I appreciate the church for sharing their place, and I appreciate Don and his courage. So if everybody could please stand up and welcome Elder Don.
Good evening. Can you hear me? I just want to say thank you for coming here, and I'd like to say to you in my language, I want you guys to say back. I'm going to say tanse to you, and you guys are going to say mananto. Let's practice that. Say mananto. Okay, I'll say tanse. Okay. Anyways, my name is Don. I'm pretty nervous. Jeez. I don't know why. But mic's kind of loud. It's, okay. Yeah, so where do I start? I'm from Alberta. I'm from Fort Chip, Alberta. I'm also from Fort McKay Reserve. I'm from 2 reserves. My mom's from 1 reserve, and my father is from 1 reserve. So when I was very, very young, I think, I don't know, about 8 or 7 years old, I was taken away. I wasn't a fast runner. I didn't know how to run fast, right? You know, so back in those days, they told us when this certain paddy wagon came around, you would have to run to the bushes and hide. So every time this certain vehicle would come, we'd all take off if we're playing outside into the bushes, right? And back in Alberta, it's all little willows, right? It's not trees like here. So anyways, one day, I don't know, I just didn't seem that I could beat these people, right? I tried to run, and I got caught. You know, and I got put in this paddy wagon. You know, like, do you remember back in the days when they used to go around with the dog catchers and catching their little dogs and putting the dogs in there? That's how we were back in those days. We were put in this little place, this back of a paddy wagon, and taken away. So for me, I had really long hair. My hair was long as a little boy, right? And they took me, and they took me to this place, just right outside my reserve, and marched me into this building. Just took me in this place, and you know, it's kind of took me in and just sat me down in this little room. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening. I was scared, very, very scared. And I wanted to go back home right away. I wanted to leave, to go home and see my parents, right? But for some reason, I couldn't. They wouldn't let me go. I tried to leave, but they, basically, I didn't get to make it to where I wanted to be. So they sat me down in this room, in this chair, and all of a sudden they came out with these scissors and just started snipping my hair, right? I had a really long hair, right? And holy God, I never felt so stripped as a little boy. You know, I didn't know what was happening. I felt like something that was in me was taken away from me, just in that moment, right? Because us as First Nation people, we admire the gifts that we have. You know, our hair, for us, are sacred. We're sacred, right? So, you know, that was taken away from me. And then, after that, they took me and they showed me this room. They stripped me off. Stripped me off of all my clothes, what I was wearing, and put these little black ugly shoes on me. Man, they were stupid. You know, sorry to say that, but you know, they're the most uncomfortable things I ever wore in my whole life, right? You know, in this little uniform. You know, I thought, holy God, you know, I didn't really feel good about this. But you know, there was really nothing I can do. You know, so then they took me upstairs and they showed me where I can sleep. And there were bunk beds. You know how you're all sitting? That's how the bunk beds were in the dormitories. But they're all side by side. You know, and they're probably a little closer. And there was there was a bunch of the children that are there from my reserve. So, I just, I hated it, man. I hated it. There was nothing I can do to be there, to be there, right? I wanted so bad to leave, And I was afraid. I felt so afraid, man. Every time I'd see somebody coming, I was thinking maybe they're going to take me home or going to let me be, take me back to my parents, right? But it never happened. That first night that I went to sleep, I would hear kids, I would see kids go out of the dormitory, out of the room, and I would hear yells and screams, right? I'd hear these little, kids crying, right? And they would come back, I'd see them, they'd come back, and they'd come back tears, right? And I'd wonder what was going on, what was happening to these little guys. And I was one of those little guys, but I was wondering, right? But it didn't really, God. It didn't really, I didn't really think about it, right? So as, time went by, I just kind of figured, I didn't know what was happening to this. So anyways, the next morning, went down to, we had to eat, and you go downstairs, you eat, you sit at this big long table, and all you ate was, man, the first time I was like, porridge, man. Holy God, that's the worst disgusting thing I ever ate. And guess what? My roommate eats that all the time. No. But you know what? I just, you eat that for breakfast. Sometimes you eat that for supper. It's like, holy God, it was terrible. Sometimes you'd have that for everything. You'd be a meal for you that you never want to forget. But anyways, I had to go through all that with as a kid growing up, being in residential school. I was there for 3.5 years, but it seemed like a lifetime time for me, right? It seemed longer in which I was there, and I was always trying to figure a way to leave and to run. I wanted to go home. I wanted to find my way out of there, right? And for me, it was like, I felt like I was inside of a big barrel, and that barrel, there was never a door, but there was light, and that's what I felt for the time I was there, but I was always told that one day you will get to go home. But I'd always ask, why? Why am I here? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do wrong? Did I do something to be where I'm at? And I never got the answer. But God, as time went by, it got worse and worse. Jeez. I decided to want to run away once, and they let us go outside, right? So one day I figured out how the backyard was and stuff like that, and this was towards the evening. I decided that I found a way I can get out and leave, but I didn't really even know where I was at. I didn't know that I was at my home, my reserve. But when I did take off, the reserve is this way from where the residential school is. And the residential school is up in the back of where the bushes are. So when I ran away from there, I ran towards the bushes. And it was kind of like towards the evening. You know how when it's in the winter when you're in the north, when the moon comes out, you can see things. You can see things. You can see the trees and stuff like that. So for me, when I took off, I fell. I ran for maybe about 20 minutes to half an hour, but I fell. And then, all of a sudden, I kind of looked around and I seen a bunch of little things in front of me, and a bunch of little things. And I didn't know what they were, but they caught me, right? But anyways, as I was getting took back, I realized that there were graves that I seen. I didn't know how many there was there, but I know there was a bunch of graves there. And I still remember, I still see that. I still remember all this, right? So, I just figured, for me, that one day that I'm gonna make it out of there, and I want to stay the way I am, the way I was as a kid, right? And fortunately, that being there, it wasn't, not a lot of good things happened, but a lot of wrong things happened. As time went by, for me, I was abused quite a few times. But it was not only once, right? More than once, and I was, I was beaten, We're beaten if we told anybody, we're beaten bad, right? And there was an altar here, and there's a that you'd have to kneel on, and it was just pure wood, and you'd have to kneel with your hands like this, and they put a little Bible in front of you, and they'd make you pray, and they'd make you ask for forgiveness and I didn't know what I had to ask for forgiveness for, so I'd sit there and pray, and if your hands were going down, they'd come by with this, do you ever see those yardsticks with the round ones, the long ones? They'd come by and they'd smack your hands with that if your hands would drop, right? And if you turn your hands over, it would be the same thing, and, you grew to feel, to carry that pain. You didn't want to, you didn't know how to let it go. You didn't know what, if you cried or anything, you got beaten. For everything that happened, you got beaten there. I just figured that I was going to tough it out and figure, there's going to be a time they're going to let me be and take me out of here, right? But it got worse and worse. I seen kids that, were sick and they were taken out of there, but I've never seen them. I've never seen not one of these children after they were taken out of that room, right? It was harsh, but it was painful. But the painful that I carried was pretty sad. There was times that I got beaten for somebody else. If I did something wrong, I got beaten. If I spoke my language, if I said something true, I would get beaten for that. If we spoke to each other, we'd get beaten for what we said or what we did. We couldn't speak our voice. We couldn't carry our voice for anything. Everything that we did, we got beaten for. But I just want to go back and tell you when I ran away, when they brought me back, they made me kneel on this little altar thing. And they used a strap on my hand, but they used a strap on my feet. So that strap was so I would not be able to run. I'd be able not to run away again. And my feet would swell. Your feet would swell, believe me, You ever feel when you're walking for a distance and and your feet just swells up? That's how I felt. just for that time, just for that night, and that's how I'd feel. The things that I went through there, the things that I've seen and been around, it was, I don't know, I just kind of thought it was natural because where I was at, right? But I started to think, why is it that everything's happening just us inside there? Just why is it? They'd always take one of us away, and I wouldn't know what happened. But when I started getting abused, I was always thinking of, can I run away, or can I, is there something that I can do? Because it was pretty scary for what was going on, right, as a kid, right? And I used to think, I want to get away from here. I just don't want this stuff to happen to me. And I would question, when can I go home? So if you question things those days, they would take you downstairs and they put you in this kind of a room. It was kind of like I don't know, some kind of like a cooler room. They'd make you, just to make you think about things that you wouldn't want to do, right? Or wouldn't do. So I did, it was like being in a cellar to be punished, and that's what they did to us, And it was cold. It was cold. I got really sick down there as a kid, quite a few times, right? But you know what? I just hanged in there, and roughed it out. It's pretty. The things that I wanted not to be and to do, and I wanted to, stay within my community. I never got to be that way, when I was taken away. I just, everything was taken apart from me, like my, you heard of broken dreams and broken spirits, and that was me. My spirits were all broken, because of being where I was at. I hated Catholic priests at that time with the black robes. I hated them. When I would see them coming, I knew what was going on when I was a kid. I knew what was going to happen to me when they'd come to me. I knew what was going through that person's brain. Not only one time, not only one person. There's probably about 4 times that happened to me. And I wondered why. I'd wonder why would this happen. And you think, is it going to always be like this? Or, am I going to ever leave this place, or what's ever going to happen, right? It was a lot of pain, a lot of deaths there, a lot of kids, right? And I felt that if I ever got out of here, if I ever got away from where I'm at, I hope things would change. Things would change. I wouldn't have to go through the things I went through, right? But unfortunately, I for 3.5 years, I had to rough it out with everything that was in front of me. God, there wasn't the best of food to have over there. It wasn't the greatest thing. It was like, there was no such thing as microwaves or whatever at those days, right? And sometimes you'd have to eat moldy bread or moldy bannock, right? You just had to go with what you were given, right? And I remember one time we I think it was maybe about 8 months before I left there, me and these 2 boys, we found out where they kept the food den, and we went there, and one of the boys was very smart. We got in there, and he stole these little drinks, and we didn't know what these drinks were. And there were vanilla extracts, little bottles. We thought they were juices, right? That's what we thought they were, right? So we're all just drinking. God, telling you, we got a bad hangover for that, but we got beaten for it too. It was sick, it was alcohol in there, right? But you know what? We learned that, oh God, we'd always try to walk and want to break in there after that, right? But you know, besides that, you know, it's, God, everything else for that time I was there, I always said to myself, if I ever come back, if I ever want, you know, if I ever decide to come back to where this place is, I'm going to come back, and you know they're going to pay for what they did to me. I always kept that in here, you know, and it doesn't matter how long it took. I always said that somebody's going to pay for what they've taken from me. You know, they've taken my culture. You know, I don't have an education today. You know, my education is what I learn out there. You know, that's my education. I know everything about the streets, about people, but to do a lot of things, I don't know how to do that, right? You know, and you know, the good thing about it, you have friends that'll help you, right? You know, they've taken that away from me. They've taken my culture, but you know, the good thing about my culture, I got to give it back, learn it back. You know, I learned that, you know, I struggled to connect with my culture. But anyways, you know, the residential school wasn't the greatest place to be, wasn't the happiest stories that you hear. You know, you might hear some stories that are good, but I'm gonna tell you, I don't know. I wish I was in some of those residential schools, because where I was the worst place on earth, I'd say. You know, I hated everything that was there. But you know, I remember one time they took us outside, and they got this ball, and it was a soccer ball, I think, and they were teaching us how to play soccer, right? And there's this nun. Oh God, I still remember her. But anyways, she was, you know, teaching us how to do this thing, and she was standing in it. Come on, kick it. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to kick this ball. And she, you know, in the winter when the ball freezes, she was standing there. She said, come on, you guys got to kick this. And I just came running, and I beelined it, and I just got it right in the forehead. And I'll tell you, you heard that ding. God, I think I think all these little guys that I was with all clapped, you know. But we got punished for that too, right? But it was okay, you know. I didn't mind. I didn't mind it because, you know, after a while you get used to, you know, being punished for something that you did. You enjoy that, right? I enjoyed it anyways. But you know what? Sorry. You know, not the greatest things that you hear about residential school has happened. You know, like for me, it was all negativity, and everything was negative. You know, they stripped me right down from everything I was, like from that little guy. I was like that little guy. You know, I had nothing to be, to know that who I was or what I was, or if I had anything. I had no sense of feeling, no sense of loving I think from the time I was about 12 years old. I didn't care about anything or anybody. But I didn't know that I had a family. I was told I didn't have a family. I was told I didn't have a mom. I was told I didn't have a dad. And I was told I was given away. But I wasn't told why, you know. All these things I was told because of where I was, you know, when I was taken, right? And I thought, okay, you know, like, you know, there must be somebody out there that, you know, I know. But, you know, you ask too many questions when you're in a residential school. You like I said, you get beaten for everything you ask for, every question that you ask, right? It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the greatest thing, but after a while, you stop to answer. You stop to question. You didn't want to question anything for anybody anymore, right? You know, you wore the same clothes forever, you know, and it was I don't know, it was, God, it was pretty, for me, it was pretty sad. But then after a while, I learned to accept the things that were in front of me. I had no choice to put up with all the beatings that I got, all the abuse that I had given to me. Everything that we did or I did, I was blamed or I was beaten for. Everything I did in residential school. Everything I said, I was falsely accused for what I said. I couldn't say anything to anybody. Nobody could believe in what I said to them. Nobody wanted, nobody would, we were called liars in the residential school, and nobody wanted to hear us, nobody, everything that we did was wrong. It wasn't our fault. We how would you say that? We probably did it. We deserved it, right? And in the long run, I know I didn't deserve what I had happen to me, But this is kind of hard to say this, but it's kind of hard to talk about. My throat's kind of drying up. But but anyways, I was taken from there after the 3.5 years. I was brought to Edmonton, Alberta, and they made me a permanent ward of the government. And then after being in residence school, that time I was ward of the government until I was 18. And I didn't know I didn't know what I did wrong. I didn't know, if I had any members of my family. The first place that I went to in foster home was in Fort McMurray, Alberta. That was the very first place I went to. And little known, my mom, my stepfather, my sisters and brothers were living in Fort McMurray when I was in Fort McMurray. But I didn't know that. So each time that I'd ask the foster parents, do I have family? Where am I from? And, like I was, you're always told that you're given up, but they didn't give me a reason. They never give you a reason for what you're given up for. And, I thought, for being in a foster home, I thought things were going to stop, things would be different for me. Things wouldn't be this, it wouldn't be like the residential school. That's what I thought, but I was wrong, For the foster homes that I was abused, and I was in, basically like 16 different foster homes growing up until I was 18 years old. And most of the foster homes that I was in, I was either beaten for something that I didn't do. I was accused for something that I didn't do, Yeah, and I just had to carry that with me for most of my life, for the things I did. I went from foster home to foster home. For one of the reasons that I went from foster home to foster home, because I'd run away all the time. I didn't want to be where I was at. I didn't want to be. I knew that nothing changed. Nothing had changed for me. Nothing at all. Everything was still the same as being as a kid, the way I was from residential school. The only difference is there was only a few kids around with me. That was the only difference. There was nothing that really changed. So I'd run, and I was pretty well known as a runner, as in foster cares, right? But it was good because, for everything that happened in the foster home, it was me. They blamed me for what I did, I was forced to go and to go to churches. I was, if I didn't follow, their rules, I'd get beaten for what would happen to me. You know, so, you know, I just figured, you know, I'll just continue, keep doing what I'm doing, what I'm good at is running and kind of not making any trouble, right? And I did pretty good at it, you know. But the place that I was at in Fort McMurray, I remember they had 3 boys and a little girl, and the bedrooms were upstairs for their kids, but my bedroom was downstairs in the basement. You know, I was like a dog. That was me. You know. You know, I for everything that those little kids did, I got punished. I got punished for everything that those little guys did. You know, I didn't get the things they got as a kid, even though at those days, you know, being in ministry, they didn't care about us. They didn't care about who I was and what I was about. You know, they didn't really want to care. They just kind of, you know, like, this is how it's supposed to be, I guess. That's what I looked at. For me, this is how my life is supposed to be. You know, so I would run, you know, and then eventually I made it to, you know, I got taken away again, and they sent me to Edmonton, Alberta. I stayed there. I think it was about 6 months, and you know, I did something wrong. I did something in the house, and I got beaten, and the same thing happened, you know. And again, they took me away, and they put me to another place. But you know what? The place I was out, I think it was Brooks, Alberta, that I was at. And there's this kid with me. His last name was Cardinal. And we had the same room. It was the word of spring. And he used to tell me, you know, he says, I'm going to go home one day. I want to go home. And, you know, and I said, well, when you go home, we'll go home together. You know, and he would, you know, we'd talk, right? So it was on a, I remember it was kind of like on a Saturday or something like that. I was sleeping, and then I can hear cars coming from the house, the roof. I mean, the bedroom I was in, and I can hear people talking. And I looked my bed over. My little friend there wasn't there, and I was thinking, what happened to him, man? So I got up and I went out. You know, I was going to walk outside, and that lady told me to go back inside. And I just kind of walked outside, and I looked on the side of the house. There was a tree there, and my friend was hanging. He hung himself. You know, shit. He made it home. He made it where he wanted to go to. He made it back to where he wanted to be at. You know. And you know, for myself, I just kept saying that one day, you know, one day things are going to change for me. One day, you know. And again, I got, you know, for me questioning them and, you know, for knowing what I knew, I would always say, I want to tell somebody, but nobody would listen. So I'd get sent away again. You know, I'd get moved to another house or to another foster home. And the same thing would happen, you know. It would be, you know, it would be like a recycling door, you know. You know, it was like everything, I would think, just by going away from this place, everything is going to change today. And when I got there, I got to read people so good, I knew how people are. I got to understand people just by when I'd walk into the house. I knew what that person was about when I walked into a house. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I don't know why, but I had that fear right away. So things would be good for a couple months, or a couple weeks, and the same thing would happen. I'd get either beaten or get abused, and I was always told, doesn't matter who you tell or what you tell about, who you talk about, nobody's going to believe you anyways. So, you know what? For me, growing up in that way, I had a lot of fear, but I had a lot of pain. There was times, I'll tell you, that pain that I carried, I'd rather be dead. I wanted to be dead at that time because that pain was so painful for me. I had to carry all this. I remember one time, I tried to commit suicide, but you remember those old, what do you call those window white things where you put your curtains? But the little skinny, those little things. I figured that was gonna, that was gonna take my life. Put a rope there and jumped off my bed. God, it broke, And I just thought, holy God, there's something wrong here. But each time it got rougher and rougher. Every time that I got to move, I got to be more angrier and angrier of everything that was in front of me. I got to hate everything and everybody, I just want to say, if it was back in the day, I would blame everything on you. I would hate all of you for everything that happened to me from the day one. I would tell you all that I don't want to, I wouldn't want to be around anybody, I would figure ways to try to punish everybody at that time through myself, right? But it's got to a point where I got to be that everything that I carried inside me made me angry of everything and everybody. Like I said, I was like a time bomb for everything that I wanted to be around. I wanted to destroy everything. In my mind, I had planned in my mind, I'd go back and everybody that harmed me, starting from the residential school, I would punish everybody and everyone that did anything to me. I made a commitment with myself that I would do that to these people for what they did to me as a little kid. I would punish every one of them. There would not be one that would be unpunished. Do you imagine carrying something like that for quite a few years of your life? But you know what? Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that, but I didn't. I just wanted to I didn't. I wanted to try to forget about all that pain that was around me and everything that was in front of me. Right? I just had so much hatred, so much everything that people spoke to me about. Tried to say to forgive people for what happened to me, but how can I forgive people for the things that they did to me, for what that brought and that took in me as a little boy? I didn't just was born and said, okay, this is how my path is going to be, right? I knew that my life was going to be terrible, right? And I didn't know that, but I just hoped that everything would have been good, for me. I just hoped that everything was like, when you go outside, everything was beautiful out there, Unfortunately, that didn't happen to me. My whole life was taken down and surrounded by a lot of anger and a lot of pain and a lot of things. So, I, growing up, I ended up becoming an alcoholic. I drank for everything, for all the pains for everything I had with me. I couldn't carry the pain that I had. I didn't know how to carry it, but I knew how to bury it really good. So everything that I did was through drugs and alcohol. I became, I think by the time I was 16, I was a full-blown alcoholic, a full-blown drug addict, That's the only thing I knew how to function. It's only I knew how to feel for people. I didn't want to, I don't know, I just didn't, I didn't think that it was worth, trying to be something that I'm not I'm supposed to be, right? It was kind of different for me, and it was harsh, but I don't know. I just figured that I just hoped that my life would have been better, and it's supposed to be. I just hoped everything was. I just hoped I can be a free person that I wanted to be, and I never was. I can say today, I guess I'm free today, but I don't know how am I free. I'm free today because of my culture, and I don't have to care. I don't have to worry about that pain anymore. I have to go through that pain. I made a promise to myself. Nobody would ever hurt me again. Nobody would hurt me. I seen my father, my real father. I seen my father before I went to residential school. He blew himself over with a 12-gauge shotgun. And then I used to think that's the only way to get rid of my pain. Maybe that's what I would do. That's what I do. I think back about all the things that I went through in life. I would. That's how my life would become through a suicide, right? But I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to be in that stage to take my life. Even though I tried quite a few times, but things didn't happen. But yeah. For the things that I went through again, I just kind of wish today that nobody will have to go through that pain ever. I just wish that no children, anybody, no matter red, white, or black, has to go through that. I just want to wish that, that we can all, just be the person, the people that we're supposed to be. No judgments. Don't judge that person, or don't make fun of that person, or don't look down at that person. I always say to myself, not one of us are better than the other. We're all the same. We all walk the same. We all walk the same here. We all have the same heartbeat. We all feel, but the only thing is we think differently. If I can learn to let things go because of what I went through, I'm pretty sure that others can do the same thing as me. There's still times that I have a lot of things that I carry, a lot of things that I go through. There's times that I go through a little bit of pain, but I try to put it aside for myself. I try to deal with that pain that I have. I try to say, okay, I'm sorry to myself for what I'm going through. It's a hard thing to carry sometimes, but you know what? Forgiveness is a good thing, and accept that's me, Try to use these and this. I try to use that today. I try to balance myself. But it gets to a point where I get to understand the things that I have to work through with myself and the people that are around me, right? It's not I don't know, it's not, life ain't easy, especially these days, but things are getting better. I know that. Things are getting better in our system. I'm just so glad that, well, I'm not glad, I'm just, when they found these graves and Kamloops, and that's when it kind of opened the doors of the residential schools. Things are starting to come out, and the truth is starting to come out of our people now, today, And I don't care what Justin Trudeau says, because I don't look at him as a leader. I look at him as something that we learn from, but he's got a lot to learn from us, He's got to learn to, today he was supposed to go to Kamloops, but he's out going out for walks with his wife somewhere, So, but anyways, I have to go here because my ride's here. No, I'm just joking. No, I just wanted to say to you guys, I don't know what more I can tell you, but anyways, whatever you want to know, just feel free to ask me. I will tell you. Okay? No.
Break now. You want to go smudge?
I got to go have a pee.
Okay. That Don was speaking about when we took them out up there, we took them around. And so John is going to smudge the food. We have some snacks. He's going to smudge it. He'll come back. He'll smudge himself and with Father Pierre, and then people will be invited if you want to have a smudge. If you don't want to, as you get your smudging, you want to.
Yeah, so I'll explain. Okay. He's coming back, don't worry. He's gone out, and he's going to do what I guess Christians would call the blessing of the food. He's going to smudge food in his own tradition, and he's coming back. And I'm learning as we go here, following along, but I think he's going to smudge himself and me. I think that's the order of things. We'll find out when he gets back. And there's going to be an opportunity for others to get involved with that as well. I don't know if I'm supposed to wait. Don, can I respond to what you've said now, or should I wait?
Yeah. Can you do smudge with the food?
if you come up with mud, you can see he's taking off all his.
She was just saying that for those who come up for smudges, you're invited to take off your jewelry before you come up. So my understanding of the way this is going to work is as we do this smudging, you're welcome to come up and then circle back out and grab something to eat, and you're welcome to come back, because eventually we'll gather back for some questions and answers. He already told me before he's got a lot to teach me, so.
We have a lot to teach each other. So, yeah. No, put it up there on that. You're running. So when you smudge yourself, I'm going to show you first. So you can, your mind is thinking, you're thinking good. You hear good things. For the things that you speak are good things. When you reach out, you're reaching out for good things, a good way. And when you smudge your legs, when you walk, you're walking a good path. Then you smudge your heart, not only for yourself, but for others. Then you smudge Mother Earth, give thanks, because that we walk upon her every day. Then you smudge the Creator, giving thanks to the Creator, so can you. Right. Yeah. Forgot, you're not going to hear. Okay.
think did I get everything?
You got it.
Wow. Well, thank you. All of that so close to the Feast of St. Francis, too. Thank you so much, Don, Elder Don, my future friend. Your story touched me a lot, and it's kind of funny. I was expecting to hear more about the effects of and how that happened, how that affected you in the coming years, but I think it's pretty obvious. And maybe it's because of so many side conversations we've had. I know you're not as young as I am, and your life since your time in the residential schools has not all been sunshine and lollipops. It's been a journey. It's been a hard life that you've endured. And it all goes back. It goes back to being taken from your parents. They didn't give you away. We all know they didn't give you away. You were taken from them. As I was listening, I was thinking, I'm at least 3 for 3 in this story. First of all, I'm a Canadian. And I'm a Canadian that actually, I come from a family that's been in this country for a long time, so a few hundred years, so from European roots, Canadian from European roots. I'm a baptized Catholic, from cradle Catholic my whole life. I wasn't taken from my parents. Big difference. I'm a Catholic priest. 3 for 3. 3 institutions that abused you psychologically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, culturally. I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of all of these institutions that I belong to and I represent, yes. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of what happened to you. And I agree. I mean, I think we can all say that. Never again. It never happened again. But it's not going to be, there's no guarantees of anything not happening again unless we commit to it not happening again. I don't consider myself someone who can take full responsibility for everybody else and for others' actions and for a whole history of colonialism. At the same time, I benefited from all that. I benefited from all those institutions that hurt you. The life that I have today is a good life because of all those institutions that hurt you. And I'm sorry. As much as I can, to the degree that I can, as a human being, as a Canadian, as a Christian, as a Catholic, as a priest, as a religious, I want to apologize for the physical, psychological, emotional, all the abuse, everything that happened to you. And to the degree that it's possible, of course, I want to apologize to all Indigenous people of Canada for what we did. This is a bold step that you've taken today, and I thank you. Really do, sincerely, on behalf of all of us. You've done a lot for our community already. And I hope we can do more. I hope you'll accept this apology and be willing to work with us in the future. I know you do a little bit of ministry yourself with people who have been through some of what you've been through in life. And it would be nice if we can provide you some space to do some of that.
Nice. Thanks. Anyways, I just want to thank you. You know, I accept your apology on behalf of my reserve and Fort Chip, Alberta. And I want to thank you. Not as a priest, as a human being. Because today, back when this happened to me, you weren't there. I don't blame each and every one of you. I don't blame my brother, but I thank him for apologizing. I want to gift my brother here with a gift that when we go to ceremonies, we use this, and it's a staff, and when we do a grand entry, this is what we use for a grand entry. It's called a staff. And this staff is, you carry this in when you're welcome, when you're given, like he's given authority to lead the people. So this is with me for a long time. This is a wolf. This is a braid of street grass. This path, this is where you start your walking. You don't know if you'll ever get to this end, but there's a dream catcher in here. That's the dream we have, that we're going to build this together. And I just want to give this to you as a brother.
I don't have a big explanation for this one. But in my culture, we give cards with things in them.
Is there a car in there?
There might be a $5 bill in there.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Thank you.
Just want to hang on for a minute. I just wanted to, oh my God, sorry. I kind of sort this. But I just wanted to also gift you with also something else. I forgot about this, sorry. Oh my God. And this is a medicine bag for you also. And there's a medicine rock in there. But also I wanted to gift with Rhonda. Rhonda.
Over this around my neck?
Yeah. Yeah. Put this here. Here. So I want to also, this lady that set this up. Laura, I just wanted to gift you, but just wait there, Rhonda. I wanted to give you also a medicine bag because for the work that you did for us here.
Thank you very much. I also have something for
Thank you. And I also want to give them to my good friend Rhonda because she did so much, and for we're going to be working together as a sister and brother. Here's the medicine wheel.
Oh, I love
So there you go.
Thank you. We're going to smudge.
Yeah.
We're
Everybody.
going to smudge on the silence for the babies.
Huh?
We're going to smudge now?
Yeah.
And then do the
Yeah. So we'll do this one now. Hang on. Okay. This is your cloth. Yeah, so, yeah. Hang on. I'm gonna put some more smudge in here on that.
Father, do you want to smudge people too?
Yeah, can you light that one?
I don't know how.
Oh, God. Oops. Well, nothing's illegal in Canada.
This one's for you, Father.
You can start smudging people with that.
You just need to light it with the match, not a lighter.
Okay. He wants me to smudge people. But you know, I'm a little nervous that I might get it wrong.
Well, then we'll have to take your stick back.
We'll have to take this.
Am I wearing this right?
You bet you're wearing it right.
Awesome.
So you're gonna put it on this side. If you want to light this one, do you want me to get ushers to come up? I'll come up there.
So those of you that would like to join us in smudge, feel free to come on up, please. So here, I'll get that going for you. You can get on this side if you want. So they can smudge themselves. So the adults.
Smudge yourself.
So,
I'm doing. And then where?
well, hang
My
on.
eyes,
Yeah,
Eyes,
my
ears,
ears,
yeah.
my mouth.
Hang on. This one.
your arms, your heart, your legs, the earth, and the Creator.
Did I do it right?
Sounds good.
Which way do I go now? This way?
Yeah. Just use that one there. You have to go this way. Go this way. Go that way. Or you can put it up this way. Sorry about that. Okay, smudge your. Take your glasses off, please. Okay. Okay. Your ears. Your mind first. Then your, yeah. Then your arms. Yes. Then your legs. Yeah. Then your heart. Yeah. Oh. Gonna have the fire department down here.
Some food.
Yeah, but not right now.
Not now,
Yeah,
later?
it's later. I just want my tea.
There's There's sandwiches in the gathering space if anyone's hungry.
After you get, excuse me, after you get your, after you do your smudge, you can go out and get some food and then come back and sit down, and you can ask questions if you like. Please, thank you.
Huh.
Really liked the interaction when you guys spoke. It was so amazing to hear your response. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That print, you, whenever you do a ceremony, you carry that with you all the time to represent the First Nation people from our reserve. That's what that's for. And that staff, you got to carry that with you all the time.
Okay. Does this symbolize blood? Does this mean blood, the red?
What's that? Hello. We're going to start answering some questions here pretty soon. If you would like to back and have a seat.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
Anyways, yeah, thank you.
Really, really nice. Yeah, so
Hello.
I love you recognize me. Hi. From Gilmore, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Hello. Can you hear me? So, any questions you'd like to ask, feel free to ask us, ask me, and I will.
We have a portable mic, in fact. Somebody's got it. Who- Okay. Hi. We're going to begin the question and answer period now, so the smudging can continue. Okay, we got one hand up, but we need a portable mic. She's coming behind you. Stay there, Tim.
Hello, check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, Don. Oh, do I want to go up there?
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You got a question?
Hello, Don. Thank you for coming and sharing. It was deeply, deeply touching, and I share Father's sentiments of apology for all the suffering. What I'd like to know is, in the 3 years, is it 3 years you were at residential school? Were you or were any of the other children allowed to, like, were you ever given a break? Could you go away for that any time in that 3 years?
I can't.
If
can't
we could
hear
just have some quiet in the back as we started questions.
I can't hear what they're asking.
The question was, for the 3 years that you were in the residential school, were you allowed to go away, or leave the school?
Oh no, I was never allowed. I was no. Once you were in a residential school, you were there until you were placed in a foster home. And what they did is they made you a ward of the government when you never got to go home. No kid got to go home from the residential school. Not anybody that I knew of that were there in my reserve. Nobody. Anyway, thank you.
Can we just ask for quiet in the back and you raise your hand if you have a question?
I like to only speak few about you now.
Okay, Laura, you've got a.
I'm
Yeah.
very sorry.
Okay.
Were you allowed to make friends with the other children?
Pardon?
Were you allowed to make friends with the other children?
Were we all friends?
Were you allowed to?
Were you allowed to make friends with the other children?
Well, you were, but you weren't. You know, you slept beside each other, but you like for First Nation people, because we spoke our language, and if we got caught talking language, we got beaten because we were speaking our language, and that's why they kind of just sorted us, right? They kind of kept us separately. But yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Don. Thanks for coming and sharing with us. I just wonder if you could tell us about reconnecting with your culture, because it was like they were trying to take you away from your culture, and it seems like you're very connected with it now. So I just wonder how that happened and when that happened.
Well, yeah, they did. They like I said, it was broken dreams, broken spirit. And basically, I just remember the things that my grandfather taught me. But what got me back connected with my culture, I went to prison for a while. And when I was in prison, I learned my ways again. It took me a long time. I'm still learning. You know, I will never know everything about what's going on in my culture. I'll just, for me, I know just the things that'll help me and help others. Okay? Okay, thank you.
You said that you were until like 13 in the residential school?
No, I was in
Or
about 16 different foster homes. I was in one residential school for 3.5 years.
3.5, so when you were 10, more or less.
I was about 8 or something like that.
Oh, okay. How old were the oldest
Pardon?
children? How old? They could be the older children, they could be there. So they were, since they were younger babies.
Well, they didn't take them when they were babies, but they took them when they were probably about 6 or 7, or young.
And they would go to foster care.
Yeah, they took
foster
them to
parents.
residential school, and then
Okay.
you didn't have a choice where you went. You didn't have a choice where you're going to be at, right? You were taken, and basically most people that got taken away from into residential school were made ward of the government. And you know what a ward of the government? That's what I was for until I was 18. I didn't know I had anybody until I was 18. Yeah. Thank you.
Derek,
Yes. Sure.
you go to. Yeah, Derek's got it.
Hi, Don.
Hi.
Thanks for coming
Oh.
and sharing your story. Just in terms of my question is that do you think with something so heavy that you had to carry as a young child, if you went to a foster home that treated you well, do you think you could have better memories, or it would erase everything, or not really?
I don't think that anything would have been different, because back in those days, the government didn't care about what happened to me as a First Nation kid. They didn't. You didn't have a voice at that time. You know, nobody listened to what you were talking or saying to them. The government didn't care. And the people that were in the foster homes, to them, they were there not to give you the love and the understand. They were there just to make the money.
Hi, Don. Thank you for sharing your story. I know a little bit because you're a friend of mine of your story, but now I have a little bit more insight, and I'm really proud of the man that you are today. I know that everybody who knows you feels that way, and we're just privileged to have you in our lives, and as an example of perseverance. My question is, when did you reconnect with your family? How did you come to know your family?
Yes. Sorry, yeah, I didn't get to that part, but my last foster home that I was with, and I was put in Peace River, Alberta, and the people I was placed with, they were Ukrainian people. And when I first got there, the thing about these people, they said to me they would never harm me. And you know the good thing about it, they did not harm me. You know, I went upstairs to where the room they gave me, and I had my little suitcase, and then I just stayed up there. So they came upstairs and said it's time to eat, but I wouldn't go eat because I was afraid. But all of a sudden, I was going downstairs, I can hear them saying, he's gonna get hungry sooner or later. And then I did go downstairs after. I thought everybody was sleeping, I snuck downstairs, and they were sitting there, and the lady name was Mona, and the man was, his name was Martin Usinski. So anyways, after I turned 18, I worked for them in a farm because they had a big farm thing, right? And they had a big trucking outfit. So I worked for them. And when I turned 18, she told me that I had parents. She told me I had a brother. I had brothers. I had a brother. She told me I had sisters. And she said, you have 6 sisters and you have a brother. And she said, your mother lives in Fort McMurray, Alberta. And when they told me this, she says, we saved some money for you. For the work that you've been working in the farm, we saved some money for you. And because they owned a big business, trucking business, right? And it was called Myers Trucking. So they gave me a car, and I still remember it was a Ford. You know, it was a black Ford, man. But anyways, she told me you go to Fort McMurray, and this is where she lived at. So when I left Peace River, I got to Edmonton that night, stayed in Edmonton, and I drove to Fort McMurray early that morning. And I got to my mom's place. Well, I'm pretty sure I knew it was my mom's place. But I got there, and I parked outside the house. And all of a sudden, it was just a little trailer. And I seen the lights come on. And I figured, okay, I'm gonna go and go knock on the door. So I went. I did grow my hair again long. So I went to the door and I knocked on the door, and 3 little girls come running in, and they said to me, "What would you like?" And I said, "Is Margaret Torangeau here?" And my 3 little sisters turned around and took off. Mom, there's some guy with long hair standing at the door that wants to see you. And then my mom came walking out, God bless her soul, but she took one look at me and she just burst out in tears. And she says, "My boy," and I myself, holy God, it was, I knew I was back with my mom again, and it took everything out of me. But, I stayed connected with my mom. My mom didn't, she had a short life, but with the time that she was upon with me, she told me a lot of things. She was also apologizing to me because of what happened. But I'd also, and I knew it wasn't her fault. I knew it wasn't her fault for what happened to me. And I dearly loved my mother. My mother, when I ran into my mom, She didn't drink alcohol. She worked taking care of my 3 little sisters, you know. She was a very beautiful lady, you know. And I met from there on, I got to meet my aunts, uncles, and nephews, you know. And my grandfather was still alive. That was a good thing. You know, I remember that when I seen my grandfather, it was like holy God, you know. And from there on, he just, my grandfather was an architect. He was a very well-known architect. So from that, he used to always tell me, watch, you're gonna learn if you watch me. So everything that he did, I watched. For everything that he did with wood, I watched, you know. You know, I questioned, you know. I questioned a lot of things about my family, right? But the most important thing is I got to see my mother. I got to be my mother. And I just want to tell you, for you today that do have parents, love them as much as you can and love your children, because you know what? I wish in 100 years for what happened to me will never happen again. And I know it's not going to happen. I don't know that, but I know with my friends here, things will get better. We'll make things better. I want to make things better. They want to make things better. You know, they want to help me to heal. I want to heal with yous. You know, I want to teach yous how I heal, how I forgive people. It's not hard to forgive people. You know, if I can forgive someone for what they did to me for all those years, I'm pretty sure you can all do the same thing. You know, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, thanks. Thank you.
Well said. We have a question in the back.
Yeah, right to me. As I was listening to you talk about people not believing, I want you to know that everyone here believes you tonight. And my question is, what was the turning point that helped you to forgive and not think of punishing the people who hurt you? And when did you stop being suicidal?
I think I stopped, I don't know, maybe about 20 years ago, I stopped being suicidal. But I decided to leave things behind and not to carry the pain that I carry with the anger that I have. The anger was either gonna bury me or somebody was gonna take my life. Because I didn't care who it was I was blaming. You know, I didn't care what and who you were. You know, so I decided there was a time that I had to change. And then the very first time I tried to forgive things is I had to go to a treatment center in Edmonton, Alberta. It was called Palmaker Lodge. It was run by natives. It was a native treatment center. When I went there, I was, you know, shown, an elder had told me, he said, you know, he says, young man, he says, you're carrying a lot of anger and a lot of pain. And he says, there's only one way that you're gonna get rid of this pain. And, you know, and I said to him, I said, well, what is that way? And it's right here. And he says, that way is your ceremony. And what you believe in, you know, you got to connect back with everything that's in front of me here today. So I did, you know, I started following my path, you know, and I've been sober for 5 years and 2 months, I think. You know, I've been cleaning off of drugs. But when I really got into cleaning myself up, that's when I really realized that I have to forgive and forgive everything for what happened to me. You know, I'll still have that pain, but you know what? I won't have to carry this. I don't have to carry and blame anybody anymore for what happened. You know, I don't have to do that. It's my choice how I carry things today. It's my choice what I deal with, how I deal with things today. You know, it's, you know, there's times it gets painful, but you know what? It's compared to where I was, you know, years back. Today is nothing. The issues I have today are nothing compared to what I had back in those days. Today I have a beautiful life. You know, I have a lot of friends. I have everything in front of me that's supposed to be in front of me. You know, I can call my friends up and talk to my friends anytime that I need anything or be around anybody, right? And that's the most important thing today. And it's just being connected. Yeah. Okay. Hola.
Thank you, Don. I feel honored to know you. I do want to know about how you started with the jewelry. You wear a lot of beautiful jewelry, and I was wondering how that started, how you started to do that.
Well, like I said, my grandfather's an artist, right? And when I went to prison, I started doing stuff like that. You know, you had to pick up a trade somehow instead of robbing banks. No, I'm just joking. So I hope they're not recording this because they know that I'm still wanted, right? No, I'm just joking. But I mean, yeah, so, and also I had a friend of mine who's a famous artist here in Vancouver. He kind of gifted me with what I do and taught me the things that I know. So today, that's where all most of my stuff comes in from, my teachings, right? You know, but my hand drums and stuff, I make them because that's how my grandfather would do ceremony. So yeah. Time is just about up. You got 5 minutes, people. It's cold.
So, with everything that's happened from your beginning to now, you've kind of seen Canada change in a lot of ways, but a lot of reserves still don't have what they need. How long do you think before we actually can reconcile?
You know, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think one reserve in Saskatchewan, they're finally given the rights to give them water again, you know, having fresh water, fresh sewer, you know, like sewer. But my reserve is right beside a plant, and that plant is called Syncrude, Alberta. And when the wind's blowing north, all that sour gas comes in to my reserve. The water that is there, the Athabasca River, you can't drink that. You can't even shower in it. When I went home, 2015, I think, or something like that, when I went to visit my family, my cousins, I went to shower, and they said, you just got to jump in the shower and jump out. And, you know, I cried, why? And they said, because you have blisters on you. So I went to drink the water, and all of a sudden my sister-in-law grabbed that thing out of my hand. I think, holy God, man, she values her water. But if I would have drank that, would have been inside me, all that infection, right? So now they're starting to give, you know, those big water bottles? They're giving those to every family member. So anyways, yeah.
All right. Have you done enough?
That's enough.
You ready? Okay.
That's enough.
All right. You know, there's one thing we forgot to do. So there's still a few of us here. We could still do it. Were you going to say something? You're going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say to you guys, dance.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to say to me back, mananto. So I'll say, dance.
All right. We're not done quite yet. We're going to do one more thing. Do we have that slide with the prayer?
Oh, yeah.
Because that is actually a statement of commitment that came out of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And we do part of it here on Sundays at St. Joseph the Worker. But the whole thing, we thought, if we're committed to never again, then we commit to never again. So it's too bad we didn't do it earlier and there are more people here. That was the plan, we kind of forgot. So, but anyway. So I'm going to invite those of us who are committed to never again to please stand. O God, Creator Spirit,
Hey, hey. Thank you. So, are we all done? I just want to say to you guys, I want to tell you my language. Excampton, kakio, ukayaipin, chamaxan, kiano. We as, I just said, we as people, Creator, pities every one of us that walks Mother Earth today, and just remember the little people. Every time you see your little ones, be grateful for them, but be grateful for yourselves, anyways. Be grateful for this man. I thank him, my heart. Hi.
Thank you.